Hi guys, welcome back to Casually Crafted. My name is Ashley and this is Crafty Chat number 7. So to start out, I'm going to talk about my finished objects, one of which I am wearing today. I'll scoot back in a second and show you it a little better. So this is my easy breezy one piece something or other like that crochet top from Darla from the Crafty Yarn Owl, and this is the third one that I've made. So I showed you one that I finished already, and then this one, and then another one. So the two other ones are for my daughters. I'm just gonna kind of go through the process, I guess, with you guys real quick, um, to show how I did things differently with each one. So the first one was this one for my almost 3-year-old. I mentioned how I didn't make it long enough, so I added this band on the bottom, which kind of turned into a ruffle. So there's that one. For this one, I just whip stitched the sides together, and on this side, that's not a super noticeable seam because the color matched. But even though I whip stitched on the inside, you can still see the seam on that, and I wasn't thrilled with that. So I'll talk about the seams, how I changed those for the other ones. So you guys have already seen this one, but so then for my 6-year-old, there's this one, and I did make hers long enough so I didn't have to add anything to the bottom. For the side seams, Lynette from Charmed Crammy Crochet, she was making one, and she talked about how she did like a continuation of the V-stitch, just connecting the two sides. So doing like the first V and then single crocheting on the other side instead of a slip stitch, and then back to do the second double crochet of the V in the same spot. And I first saw that before I even made my first one, but it sounded way too confusing. But since I didn't like how it turned out on that first one, I decided to try it. So I don't know if you can see. I don't know if I did it the way she explained, but I made it work. So the seam is right here. So I think that turned out pretty good, and I did the same on this one. I did something wonky with one of these sleeves. So for the sleeves, you're going in V-stitches all in one direction, and so for one side, you just kind of continue on, and the V's are going the right way. The other side, you have to attach, and now you have V's going this way when they were going this way, if that makes sense. So somehow when I attached here, I went into like the chain spaces or something. So when she first tried it on, I could see almost like a seam right here, whereas that wasn't noticeable on the first one I did. So I made sure not to do that on mine. It's not super bad. I just noticed it when she was wearing it that something seemed a little off. I think that's everything on that one. So I'll show you mine. I'll back up a little bit. I'm gonna get on the stairs because I'm short. So like I said, it's super long, covers my butt, and so because it was so long, I decided to leave about 7 V-stitch length before seaming it up the side. And yeah, that's basically it. I did the same V-stitch type of seam on my sleeve. I did the V-stitches into the spaces in between the original V-stitches instead of in that chain space, so that it wasn't as obvious of a seam here. This side's obviously just continuing the pattern. So yeah, this is my first time making a wearable for me, or for anybody else, I think. No, I actually made my kids Easter dresses one year, but it was just like the top half and the bottom half was fabric. But for me, this is the first time. So in general, I'm proud of it. I think it turned out good. It is a little heavy, like I take it off and I'm like holding it up because it's so long it feels really heavy, but that's okay. Um, I had plans to make myself a like beach cover up this summer, and I don't think I will get to that this year. And so this, since it's so long, I could actually kind of use it for that instead of wearing an undershirt, just have my swimsuit underneath. Um, so I might try that. I thought about that today. My husband took pictures of the kids and I at a park today wearing our shirts, so if I can get it figured out, I will put pictures of those in here. I probably won't show their faces, but you'll at least see them on a person instead of just me holding them up. Okay, so those are my main finished objects. I do have a few little ones, and those were pretty time consuming. They took me a few weeks to do. So my next finished object is I made myself a face mask. Woo-hoo. I wasn't gonna make myself one, but places are starting to require them, and I actually had a doctor's appointment, and I knew they'd require one. And I do know how to sew. I didn't want to get out the sewing machine and cut and sew, and it's just it didn't sound fun. So I used a pattern by Yarnspirations. I'll put the link below. But I did adjust it to do the straps differently. So I'll explain that a little bit. So there is 2 layers of fabric here. So it's not just a wholly crochet face mask. This is, I love this cotton. I think the color is rosy. So their pattern, it's all half double crochets in the back loop for the middle, and then they did like 2 single crochets and then 2 slip stitches, and then their straps they crocheted all the way around when they were done and added little straps. I had a sewing pattern that I was going to try that used a t-shirt strip that goes around as a strap, so instead of doing a short single crochet and slip stitch, I actually ended up doing like 7 slip stitches and 3 single crochets and then half double crochets. And I did different amounts too. I used a smaller hook, so I just did it until I felt like it would fit, and that way I could, sorry, I hope I'm making sense, that way I could loop, this was sticking out, so I could loop this around and make the casing for this strap. So that I did that on both sides. And then so I will post a link to the tutorial on how to use this t-shirt strap, and I have a picture of me wearing it at the doctor's office. But basically you put this strap around the top of your head, and then this part you tie around the back of your neck. And so I had my hair up that day so that this strap wouldn't come off the top of my head. So I don't know how well it would work with my hair down, but and I did end up adding a little piece of wire, I don't know if you can see that in there, to kind of put it around my nose a little better because it was kind of poking out. So this worked okay at the doctor's office. I noticed if I would talk, like having to talk to the people, it would like start sliding down, just the movement made it fall down a little bit, but oh well, I guess. I'm not planning on using it all the time. It's just in case I ever go somewhere where you have to have a face mask. So here in Wyoming right now, it's not very many things, but we might travel this summer, so who knows. So that's that finished object. My final finished object I don't have with me, but I did take a video clip. It was a gift for my daughter's teacher. So I will insert that clip here. Hi guys. So this is what I made for my daughter's first grade teacher's like end of the year thank you gift, teacher appreciation gift. It was this last week, but she'll have to get it late for that, but it'll still be before the end of the school year. So I'm going to show it to you and then kind of explain what it is and how I did it. So here it is. It's just a little jar that looks like a pencil. I first saw, I was searching for like crochet teacher gifts because I was trying to come up with something quick that I could do. Um, and on Ravelry, I saw something similar to this, and it wasn't a free pattern. And I was like, well, I like it, but I would change it anyway, so I decided not to pay for it. So I looked on Pinterest and I found a tutorial on how to just make a general jar cover. This is just, it's actually not even a regular mason jar. It's like a Alfredo sauce jar, I think, one of those big jars of Alfredo sauce that I kept. And so the instructions I found, I'll put the link down below. I used, it helps you figure out how big the bottom to do. It's like single crochets and then doubles and half doubles just until you get it to the right size. And then you do, in the back loop only, you do single crochets. And they just did single crochets all the way up for their jar cover. For mine, what I did was I did single crochets here for the bottom, and then I switched to half double crochets, and I'll tell you what yarns these are too here in a second. And for the half double crochets, I didn't even try to go in like the top regular loops. I just went in between the stitches of those, and then I did double crochets for the yellow, and then I did back post double crochets to make these little ridges, so that they would be kind of like the ridges in a pencil. They're not just circles, they're like hexagons or something. So that's how I did that. The yarn I used for most of this is, I love this cotton from Hobby Lobby. This is, hold on, I wrote the colors down. This is the color Rosy, and this is the color Banana. And then the silver, I didn't have like a light gray that really went with the colors. So the silver is this Vanna's Glamour in the color Platinum, and it's a size 2, so it's a little thinner. You can see that there, but I thought the sparkliness was kind of cute to go with like the silver of the end of a pencil. So this is how my original plan was, and my daughter, being who she is, she saw that it's just half a pencil. Mom, there's no like lead part. You need to make the tip so it looks like a real pencil. So with the lid, I caved and I made the tip of a pencil. So this was my original plan, and I'll show you what it looks like with the top on. There we go. And this, I just kind of winged it, so it's pretty wonky. This is also, I love this cotton. The color is Antique Cream, and this was just scraps of Red Heart Super Saver. I don't really know what color exactly, but so I just chained enough that would go around, and then I just went around and around and slowly decreased. I decreased faster somehow on one side than another, so that's why it's kind of weird. And then once I got to the top, I just kind of stitched it together. So I think overall it turned out cute. The colors are a little muted than I think you would normally find on something like this. I didn't have any, well, I maybe would have had like acrylic, like brighter yellow and brighter pink, but I think I like how this turned out, besides the weirdness of the top. My daughter's like, but then how is she going to put pencils in it? Because the pencils are too tall. So we wrote her a note that she can either do it without the lid for a pencil holder or with the lid if she wants to like hide candy or something on her desk. So that's that. I think that's everything. Oh, I used a hook, size F hook, so that the stitches would be pretty tight. So then I made a little tag to go with, and this will go around towards the front. And it says, ooh, that's upside down. Thank you for making this year just right. I didn't come up with that. I found that on Pinterest, but I did make this myself. It's just different scrap papers that I had that I cut out. I didn't really have a gray or a silver, so this was the best I could come up with, but I kind of like the shininess. It matches this pretty well. And then I had my daughter write a note on the back, and she drew like 5 pencils back there because she was trying to stick with the pencil theme. So yeah, we're probably going to deliver this week to our teacher, and so I wanted to just hop on here real quick and kind of explain what we did. And Oh, and I hot glued this to here after stuffing it. I didn't have any more like the polyfill, fiberfill, whatever stuffing. I used all that on my kids' pillows. So I just stuffed it with scraps of fabric, and then I hot glued around the edges so it won't come off. So, yep, I think that is everything for this cute little pencil. And now I kind of want to make one with brighter colors, but I'd have nothing to do with it. So maybe for her teacher next year, we'll do something similar. And yeah. And with that pencil jar cover thing, I forgot to mention that I had thought about, you know how pencils have like the word number 2 on the side in black. I was gonna attach something like that, or like a W for the teacher's last name, and I tried crocheting some. I started with the number 2. Moogly blog has tutorials for all the numbers and letters, and I've made like a letter S before for one thing, so I tried to do the number 2, and I was using crochet thread because I wanted it small, and somehow I missed a row, and so instead of the line at the bottom of the 2 going out the right way, it was going in, and it just wasn't working. And so then I made the W, and it still was kind of wonky, so I just gave up on that and left the pencil the way that you just saw it. So yeah, there's that. So I only have 2 works in progress right now. The first one I showed you kind of last time. It's the skirt that I was making to match my daughter's Easter dresses. Pull it out. So I did decide to change to that Karen cotton cake in the color watermelon. So here it is so far. There's still obviously gapping and holes, and so my husband pointed out, he's like, well, that doesn't work for a skirt very well. I'm like, well, I'm planning on putting a layer of fabric on the inside. And of course he happens to point out that it's really wide. Like obviously if I show you how wide my waist is, it's a little wide. What happened was you have to do multiples of 12, and I was chaining 12, 12, 12, 12, and I got to the point where it didn't quite seem big enough, so I did one more, and then now it's too big. But you add elastic to this top, so I'll make sure that the elastic fits correctly, and it'll just kind of have to scrunch in, so hopefully that works out okay. And this is a pattern by Siren's Crochet. I'm getting all tangled, sorry. I will make sure to post a link to this pattern. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. The only thing is you have to have kind of tight tension when you're doing this decrease part right here. You skip like 2 stitches. Otherwise this is really, really, really gappy. And then not missing your first double crochet at the points can be a little tricky too, but once you get going it's pretty easy. We'll see how easy it is once I add the elastic at the end, but yeah, so that's that one. And then my other work in progress is the baby blanket I was working on. And last time I showed you I needed to make 5 more squares and then start putting it together. So I made the 5 more squares, and I just sewed in weaved in all the ends, and then I decided kind of the pattern of the blanket. So I will show you. I'll post a picture of what I think of how I had it laid out and how I want it to look. But to recap, these are the Moss Stitch in a Square by Repeat Craft for Me, and this is made with Lion Brand Mandala Ombre. I think the color is Mantra. And so what I did, my kids were playing with these before I weaved in the ends, so I didn't want them to get all mixed up once I had the pattern kind of laid out. So what I did was, after I had it laid out, I stacked them in stacks of 4, because it'll be 4 across and 5 down. And so these, I have a stitch marker that's connecting the 4, So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, you can't see that. Across the row. And then I attached a number 1 to that. So I know this is the top row. And then like this one will be row 2 underneath that. So that way I don't get confused. So this is where the hard part comes in, because I've never made a project where you make squares and stick them together. I've always just made like the baby blankets that are one big granny square around and around and around. So we'll see how it goes, how much progress I get on it. I tend to like the projects where you can just sit down and work without thinking, which is what I've been doing on that skirt. Just pick it up wherever you were and just keep going. So it might be a little slow. For the border, I think I've decided to use the Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek from Hobby Lobby. I don't know what color it is right now, sorry. But the colors match pretty well and it feels really similar. I kind of unraveled the outside of this to see how much of the dark greener color was before I got to the light, to see kind of how I want to do the border. So I think I'll probably cut this off and start the border in the lighter color since it is a baby blanket. And now I'm unraveling it, but do the lighter color, whatever, round or 2, however many I get, and then maybe end in a little bit of the darker colors, because it does go back dark in the middle. So I'll just have to play that by ear, see how far this gets around the blanket. And I'll just use the leftover of what I have from the mandala to do the seaming of the squares together. So those are all my works in progress and my finished objects. So I do have one more thing to show you. The beginning of March, I believe, J Hook Crochet was doing a giveaway of like a bunny theme, and I won that one. So, and I finally got it. So she lives all the way in Germany, so I wasn't surprised that it took almost, pretty much 2 months to get here. So I just wanted to show you a few things that was in there. So first, this little bunny yarn topper thing. My 6-year-old already wants to claim it. I'm teaching her how to loom knit on a hat because she wants to learn how to crochet, but I know she's not ready. So she's like, oh, that would match my hat really well. I'm like, no, it wouldn't. It's like, so I might make like a lovey or something out of this, because I always know people who are having babies, so we'll see what I end up doing with that. So there's that, and it came with this bunny bag, which is kind of cute, but I have no idea what that says, but that's okay. I can use it as a project bag or whatever. It came with a little one of those magic towel things. This was really exciting for my daughters to open, by the way. I already did go through it, but some buttons that are bunnies. I was excited about these. These are scissors. They look like bunny ears poking out of like a magic hat. Yeah. So you always need more scissors, I think. So pink measuring tape. Always need these too because my kids steal them and run off with them. And then there was a few of these. We tried one and it was different, but not too bad. And then some other candy type things. And then there was also some tea in there, which I gave to my husband because I don't drink tea. So that is everything from that. So it was exciting to win something, and I'll see what I end up making out of that yarn, and everything else I'm sure will be put to good use. So I thank her for that. Alright, so I think that is everything. I will have fun putting this video together. I have to put that clip in of the pencil jar and some pictures, and so hopefully it all goes smoothly. Thank you everybody for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye!